Hello, everyone. Welcome to AI4. Our next panel is titled The State of AI in Telecom. Please join me in welcoming our panelists to the virtual stage as they turn their videos on. And I'll hand it over to our moderator, Michael Weiss.
Thank you, Patrika. Man, you guys crushed it. It's a tight, well-oiled machine of a panel. All right. So hey, everybody. I'm Michael. I'm co-founder and head of content at AI4, and I'm very excited to embark on this 50-minute journey with you all. Telecom obviously runs much of our lives now, and the cables underground and the waves in the air have changed the world dramatically. And now AI is starting to change telecom. And so now we'll jump in with introductions. So we'll jump around. I have Connie. I'll go counterclockwise here. So Connie, why don't we start with you, and just if you could say, who you are, what you're doing at T-Mobile, and then please end with a fun fact about yourself as well.
All right. So my name is Connie Avey. I was with Legacy Sprint for quite some time, and just recently with the merger with T-Mobile. And so my current position within T-Mobile is Senior Manager for AI Strategy. So looking forward to what the future holds in that space, and looking forward to the fun time ahead and exciting times ahead we have here at T-Mobile. Oh, a fun fact about me. A long time ago, I used to be a fashion clothing buyer and had the opportunity to travel to China and was able to visit the Great Wall. And while we were there at the Great Wall, Fidel Castro and his crew were there. So it was interesting to be able to see somebody to that magnitude at that time at a very historic place.
That is a fun fact. Fidel on the Great Wall. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Connie. Mostafa.
Welcome.
You're up.
Hello, I'm Mostafa. Essa. I'm working for Vodafone. I'm an AI and data analytics distinguished engineer. I'm always working as an AI and data and software engineer manager. Distinguished engineer is the highest technical degree in Vodafone. We are 15 distinguished engineers worldwide. Each one has his own area expertise. Mine is the AI and data analytics with a background for the Telecom. I was a radio access network engineer at the beginning of my career. Maybe this is not something very, very funny, but I was working for at the beginning of my career, I was working for Philips for a biomedical engineer. So it was away from the telecom experience. And it is, once again, I'm back again to join Vodafone for 13 years till now. So I make a great shift at the beginning of my career, but right now I'm in a different place that I was planning once I graduate from the college. So I don't know if it's funny or not. It's not funny, but there's just blow my mind, yes.
It teaches us more about who you are. It's not quite Fidel on the wall, but that is okay. We can't all have that. Yes. Thank you, Mostafa. Blair, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm the CTO here at Neuton, which is a division of Bell Integrator. So we've had the opportunity to develop a auto ML solution that is focused in the telecom area, one of the areas that we focus on significantly. So we've been pretty excited about being on the forefront and helping and assisting organizations to take advantage of the technology. Something fun, or just something about myself. I have a terrible fear of flying, even though I've flown over 2 million miles. I decided that I would jump out of a plane because of this fear of flying, but needless to say, it didn't help.
Oh man, so you went skydiving?
Yeah.
And it didn't help?
No.
Crazy. Did you hate skydiving? Was it like the most miserable thing for you?
Going up, yeah, definitely. As you was making your once, I just closed my eyes on the way down.
Fair enough. Well, good for you for confronting your fear as head on as I could imagine.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blair.
Absolutely.
And Nancy, Dr. Nancy Lee, if you would.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me. So I am Nancy Lee. You don't need to go by doctor. And I have a YouTube channel, which is Dr. Nancy Lee. That's why I together use it as a brand. So right now I am the director of Edge platforms at COX Communication. And prior to COX, actually 3 weeks ago, I left Verizon and I was their group product manager of edge platforms as well in Verizon. So at there, I launched the first 5G edge product for Verizon in collaboration with AWS, and also launched another AI product, which is in the smart city space to use smart cameras to help cities reduce car crashes. And fun fact about myself is that actually I am a YouTuber. I have a YouTube channel called Dr. Nancy Lee, helping aspiring product managers to crack the product manager interviews.
Awesome. That is fun. You heard it here first, folks. Dr. Nancy Lee, check it out. All right. And with that, we have an amazing group. Let us begin. Patricia, if you could share our first question. All right. So we're going to start arguably basic. A quick yes or no question. Do you agree that telecom is in the midst of an inevitable AI-driven transformation?
Absolutely, yes.
I would concur. Definitely a space that we will play in quite significantly as the future holds.
Yeah, exactly. Telecom has to transform, or we won't be the Fortune 500 or those top companies anymore.
For me, the same. I think that we generate at the Telco a lot of data, and it is the oil of the machine learning and the transformation of this new data era. So it's unreasonable to be the generator of this data or this oil field, and you are not using it. You are not transforming. This is unreasonable. So we should do it. Yes.
All right, unanimous. I also say yes. I like to kind of level set just to see if we have any, naysayers on the panel, which is okay, but apparently we're all on the same page. All right, Patricia, if you could bring us to the next question. Okie dokie. We'll start topically. Have the travel bans and work from home shift, placed a strain on networks? And if so, has AI been an important part of dealing with that?
Yeah, I will start here, and then yes, yeah. How it do? I think that we have a lot of things to talk about how the AI support our field during this pandemic. Mainly, for example, we was always thinking about the zero touch network, and how the service operation centers would be run automatically without any human. So right now we are living the future very, very fast, and most of the COX centers, or the center of the service operation, have been transformed to be working with the machine, with the robots, and a lot of things that we were thinking that we should do it in 3 or 4 years. We already did it in 3 or 4 months. So I think that the stay at working from home, this condition support the acceleration of the transformation into that into using the AI and the telecom.
Cool, that's cool. Do you all agree?
Yeah, I would add that I think it's been fairly seismic, and I think for all intents and purposes, there's no going back. There's certainly just commenting from not only from a physical network perspective, but also from a business perspective. The various telcos or service providers, they now had to put more emphasis, whether it's on security, whether it's on quality of service, not only as it relates to the network, but also from a consumer perspective as well. So it's reached a point that you need to begin to engage with this disruptive technology, or to some degree, I think, as Nancy may have kind of alluded to earlier, you'll die. You won't be a part of that Fortune 50, that Fortune 100, or whatever your aspirations may be. So definitely there's a strain from a technical perspective, as well as from a quality of service perspective.
Thanks, Blair. I think, Nancy, you were going to jump in.
Yeah, I want to second that. Also want to say that COVID actually create more opportunities for telco, especially when everybody works from home, and it generating new business opportunities. For example, telemedicine recently has been picked up during COVID, you're better to see doctors remotely. So if you want to see doctors remotely, how would our network support those remote like opportunity with doctors? Also has HIPAA compliance towards it. That's one thing. And on the second part, for example, for people who have network issues at home, if your router breaks down, usually you will send somebody go into your home to fix it. But during COVID, it's kind of inconvenient. What would you do? Well, what I have heard in the past in multiple companies I work for, people start to invent those new technology using phone cameras to run AI in your camera, and then automatically detect what's wrong with your router, what's wrong with the internet. And then people from the back end can remote and support your customers. This is not just doing video chat. This has directly like monitoring and do analysis using image processing. So I believe this is potentially can be Kickstarter for telcos to start to think about what's the next thing and how can we use AI to move forward.
Cool, very nice. You actually bring a question to mind for me, which is, maybe this is a basic question, but what are like the key ways a telco grows? Obviously, just more people with devices on the network. And then I guess is the other key way like higher bandwidth uses of the network, which then inspire, you know, just more cables, more network. Yeah.
I want to ask.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, do you want to? Yeah. So the part I want to add to it is that regarding the growth, and actually I've been working in the growth department for COX and also prior to Verizon as well. The new things that from our perspective regarding where telco can grow and should go is more towards the edge computing perspective. Maybe you guys have heard of this edge computing, or before I joined COX, I launched the 5G Edge product. And just quick definition regarding what is the 5G edge or what is edge computing and why this is important to telco. So edge computing, you can see this as decentralized cloud. In the past, compute happened in the huge data center in the cloud. But what if you're able to run edge computing, this compute directly next to where the data was collected, which is right next to end users. And through those could be the last mile of those edge nodes running in the telco network. So what could this mean to telco and to the customer is that, first of all, customer is able to enhance those experience real-time, low latency compute. Same thing as today. Let's say if we want to run some AI on our video format, right? If we're able to run this directly on the edge, we can get the like machine vision AI result much quicker than sending huge video file back to the cloud and sending back to us. That's one thing. On the other hand, from the telco's perspective, I also believe that this introduced new revenue stream for telco. In the past, we were perceived as a dumb pipe, sending data. Now the pipe become bigger and bigger, like from 1G all the way to 5G. What if we're able to go up the food chain, the value chain, working with the cloud partners, and so that we go into this compute and cloud and software space, and our business model will start to change, and hopefully our stock will also go up that way as well, just like AWS stocks as well. That's my idea regarding where the new growth opportunities could come from for telco.
Nice, that's interesting. So edge will lead to telcos competing with cloud computing providers. I like it. It's cool. It's a cool vision.
And Michael, if you just allow me to add just a little bit of an overlay from an AI perspective, when at least for us, when we begin to think about edge devices or IoT devices, we always kind of associate that with enabling our customers to bring their services to the fingertips of the end user. That's effectively what edge devices and let's say IoT devices are doing. But this is also where I think AI begins to play a significant role, right? So if you can put more intelligence towards the edge, whether it's from a security perspective, whether it's from being able to proactively identify usage, et cetera, now that experience that the customer has more closer towards the edge, it begins to be improved. It also offers more efficiencies to the telco providers as well. And that's one of the things that we focus on is being able to produce an AI model that is fairly small and fairly compact that can execute locally on those devices and drive that value more closer to the edge.
Life on the edge. I love it. And Connie, I know, we spoke of, right, a lot of your work with chatbots and stuff. How how have you seen, COVID and work from home impact your work?
One of the interesting elements that we have done is, with so many of the call centers having to have their workers work remote versus coming into a call center, right? A lot of the information that they are gaining access to, your supervisor is not right there, your coworker is not right there, and so that immediate access to maybe ask quick questions is not there. And so where we have seen some success is introduction of AI, where we are truly listening to the conversation that's occurring between the customer and the agent, and understanding some of the keywords and offering up some solution articles based on those keywords to the agent to help them be able to satisfy the customer's needs or questions much quicker within the solution versus, having to rely yet on another system to go, spend a few moments to go check and search for that information. It's really delivered up to you. So that has really helped with some of our, workers that have had to come in remotely, that again are used to coming into a larger call center, used to being able to rely on their coworkers and their supervisors for some immediate information. This solution has actually helped them there. Another area that maybe, we always talk about the customer, but sometimes we don't really focus on the internal support that AI can bring to the enterprise as well. At the very beginning of COVID, there were lots of questions around where our stores and what was going to happen with the personnel within the stores. There were several, questions and answers. And so, reaching out to their human resources department, they weren't quite yet prepared for an influx of calls and questions. And so we quickly put together an AI solution that allowed for folks within the enterprise to be able to come into a website and be able to chat with a bot with some of the most frequently asked questions and be able to engage with them that way, versus, having to have a human on the phone answering all the variety of different questions. That's another area we've seen a fair amount of success.
That's cool. That's really cool. So, right, COVID hits, everyone's in a tizzy, HR gets more requests, which flooded HR, and you, leveraged AI to build a bot to handle, frequently asked questions. That's a great, really cool spin up. That's awesome. All right, so now let's jump ahead. Patrika, could you share our next slide? Bam. All right, so now we're going use cases. We can steer away from COVID. I don't care if we go, away from COVID stuff. So what are the main areas, where AI is impacting telecom? And please, obviously, be as specific as possible so people watching can, have tangible ideas that they could run with.
Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. When we were Sprint only, we introduced AI use cases about 3 years ago and have developed and are well on our way above 65 different use cases in which a customer can come in, whether they're using the .com space, whether they're using their app, or whether they're using Apple Business Chat. They can come in a slew of different account management or sales activities, whether they want to upgrade their phone, whether they want to add a line, whether they want to change their address on their account. Again, a variety of different elements. We simply introduce them and give them the opportunity to chat. We always start that chat with an AI and allow the AI to continue them in a very conversational dialogue that allows them to navigate through those changes or those additions, however that they are wanting to modify their account. And so at any time within that experience, they're always able to get directly to a live agent if they so desire. So our true goal is to be able to meet that customer not only in the channels in which they want to communicate back to the company, but also be able to allow them to be able to, whether they want to work with the bot, a lot of people are really good with it, or whether they want to engage with a live person. Either way, you know, we want to meet that customer to where we are. But that is where we've had some great success in really in account management and just like I said, add line and upgrades on their devices. It's been very, very successful for us.
Nice.
Okay.
So customer service sales tool. Yeah, Mostafa.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry for jumping in, but I have a lot of things to say about these use cases. We since 3 years right now, we are developing over 25 different use cases covering the technology and enterprise and commercial teams and departments. So beside the chatbots and this kind of very good initiative that Connie had talking about, I will give you some examples from the technology point of view. And the technology department, for example, we can have a predictive maintenance model that it run always on the network, and it always predict the alarms before it happen, and it can give us a very good room of reducing the faults and the coverage and the coverage outage inside the network. For example, also we have the net promoter score prediction for the customers. We can know the complaint of the customer before he even complain. This is using some prediction model. You know, this, the AI, the machine learning is always depending on two models, the regression model and the machine, the mathematically, and also at the clustering. We also can use the artificial intelligence, or we already using it in the energy saving modules. So, you know, this kind of discharging and discharging, most of the hubs and the base station and this kind of wireless station is always working in a grid power, but it has a backup for the battery. And these batteries always have its own lifetime, and it is depending on the discharging and discharging pattern of the battery. So how the machine learning, we let the machine learn about the best pattern for the battery to discharge and recharge and so on, so it can prolong the life of the battery itself, and as well as it can save energy from the grid, and it can save some other money. For example, again, for the wireless communication, you know, the spectrum or the frequency spectrum is the most valuable asset in any teleco, wireless teleco operator. So the machine learning right now, we developed the model that it was even published in a paper in IEEE Globcom last year in the US in Hawaii, and it's talking about how we can use the pattern of the propagation of the signal, and we can identify even the problem like the global warming in places, and how it impact the efficiency of the spectrum itself, and how the machine can manage and optimize the network accordingly. If you have a hot area, for example, it impact the signals or the spectrum on this in this location, so it reduce the efficiency of the wireless communication. So the machine predicted automatically at the beginning and retune itself to retune the network automatically to avoid having drawbacks from this global warming on this, or even this change in the environment and so on. Interference cancellation, we can classify the interference pattern in the wireless communication, also for the correlation. Smart CAPEX, I know this terminology may be familiar for all the telco working stuff. However, for the audience, it's about how we can invest or allocate your resources and your capital assets smartly using the artificial intelligence to do this kind of clustering. This is a high value area, and this is, for example, this is a high value segment that you have to invest in it, and so on. So this is like a list of the sum of a lot of things that we developed using the machine learning artificial intelligence at the last 3 years.
Awesome. Sounds like you've been busy. I'll look forward to coming back to one or two of those.
Sure.
Blair, Nancy?
Yeah, I'll comment on the maybe the one or two use cases that Mostafa left for us, since he was so expansive. But I think, but in addition to some of the areas that he mentioned, I guess I'll kind of give an answer from a business side as well as from a technical side that is actually a little bit more expansive than just the telcos, right? So as they, or as telcos, even from, let's say, a storefront perspective, they're now faced with similar challenges just in the retail space. And how do they continue to be sticky to their respective customers? How do they continue to be forward thinking or forward engaging with their respective customers. So some of our customers we've assisted and helped where we're bringing in some alternative data to help them continue to stay connected to the customers that would normally be going in the brick and mortar stores. So even though they did, you know, gain some traction, let's say in the education space, as more people, as more kids needed to work from home and have devices, et cetera, or that of the sort, they've also began to lose or trim off some revenue from being in the brick and mortar store. But now, how do they continue to stay engaged to those customers moving forward? So that's one area where we've been able to help them, whether it's with personalized or next best offers, whether it's helping to identify if they have a customer that's at risk from a churn perspective. That's some of the areas that we've helped them with. And then on another side, really kind of going into a little bit of the part where Mostafa kind of hired. Telcos, they have a tremendous amount of data, but oftentimes a lot of that data is dirty. It's not really put into a format where you can really take advantage of AI. And even though we've developed an AutoML solution that is really more or less geared towards, let's say, the novice to help them to begin to take advantage of AI, but from an AutoML perspective, you can take advantage of a platform like that to help in the cleaning of that data that is extremely dirty, right? So it's no doubt that the telcos have a significant amount of data, but then how you, in the end, how you correlate all of that data, how you clean it, because without that, you know, it's kind of like junk in and junk out. If you have dirty data, your models are really not going to be able to provide you the value that you anticipate. So that's one of the things that we've also focused on is, hey, when working with telcos, putting together a solution that helps them go through that data pre-process and cleanse that data, establish some additional features that can help their models be much more efficient, which is kind of, let's say, the underlay of a lot of the different use cases that Mostafa has mentioned.
Nice, yeah. Clean data, good AI. Dirty data, bad AI. I'm with you. Nancy?
You guys, that's me. Very challenging job. Nothing to be covered. But I do want to talk about regarding the relationship of telco to use AI to serve our customers, not just internally how to do communication. And give you two specific examples. I launched the smart city solution for Verizon about 3 years ago. And the product is use smart cameras to automatically detect the dangerous behaviors of cars, pedestrians, so that the traffic engineers are able to directly take all the reports saying that, whoa, there's a near miss happening in these places. What's the prediction? What does it look like? Where Verizon as a telco coming in is that we're trying to branch out than just being a down pipe. So I'm a pro in terms of doing things on top of down pipes. Yeah, for all my roles have been playing in telco so far. It's always focused on what's on top. Right. In this case, the one on top is we have connectivities for cameras. How can we use those algorithms to run AI in those smart cameras so that the result we get can help cities reduce car crashes? And actually the product has been like awarded as a mayor's best practice in 2017 in Boston. And another example I give you regarding telco, like start to support and enhance AI for our customers is also more towards the edge computing side. I've been working on the edge computing ideas and product concept for a couple of years. What I've been seeing is that there's lots of great, let's say AI ML algorithm out there, but you need to train large amount of data. Yes, when you train the original data set, you're happy in the cloud, well, you need huge data to train it. But during inferencing, when you run inferencing, lots of time, if you want to get real-time result, help your customer to get better result and also improve the user experience, you need to run it on the edge as well. So that's when we see this telco start to do this new growth. How can we use our downpipe, our system to make AI even smarter? So we are the AI of AI, I think.
Telco's the meta AI. And then, all right, so we just heard a ton of interesting and varied use cases from, you know, network optimizations to customer-facing things to, right, using, you know, AutoML solutions to clean unstructured data. And I'm curious, like across, you know, all these examples, is there anything from, you guys' experience as experts in this industry that you think is unique of like navigating an AI project and making an AI project successful within like a telco environment? Whether it's, personnel, specific constraints, like, is there anything unique about it that people watching, should have in mind as like a special thing that they might not have learned from, if they were in another industry or something?
Yeah, I think I can maybe start there. One of the things that we've witnessed is that creating a model can be fairly easy at times. Of course, assuming that you have the personnel on board, or if you have a tool to aid in creating your model. So the act of creating the model can be fairly quick and efficient. The headwinds is, how do you ultimately then implement it within your ecosystem? And then how do you drive the adoption of its use within your ecosystem, within the organization? So in general, we found that everyone kind of understands and knows that AI will bring them value. I kind of always, at this point, I kind of liken it to a hammer. Everybody knows that they need the hammer, but they don't necessarily know how hard they should swing the hammer, where they should place the head of the hammer, or should they use the opposite end of the hammer. And I think that's where we find that a lot of customers that we've worked with, that's where they run into a lot of the headwinds, is the actual implementation and being able to demonstrate the business value of AI.
Yeah,
And to add to that, it's oftentimes it's a misunderstood technology as well, right? People have in their minds that AI means, one particular thing, wherein the reality of it is AI can be useful in many aspects of the business, whether it's internal facing, whether it's external facing. It can be used in multiple facets of the organization. As connected devices continue to grow, the opportunities to expand well beyond just the what I would say is the infancy and the modeling that is existing today, the predictability of what we can do, the information that we can bring to the organization, I could see is highly invaluable. So again, I think it's a misunderstood or not a well understood technology yet across the enterprise, and so not being able to fully take advantage of it yet, I think can pose some challenges. And so I think it's going to be exciting as we move into the future, being able to bring people along and show what the true value that it can bring.
Yeah.
Embrace the technology versus being a bit fearful of it.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, in the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, the software evolution that industry went through was confusing to a lot of people. And now we're in the, late 20-teens, early 2020s, and the AI evolution is a bit opaque to some. And that is
correct.
Okay. Mostafa, how about you? You listed so many things. What's your journey and insight been when it comes to getting things into production and actually, used?
Yeah, to be honest, I will talk to that. I will give you the other side of the story. I cannot add any more about what Connie and anyone said. But from the other side, that AI have not a very good reputation for the customer regarding the privacy and security. And we other telco companies, we consider to be like the banks of the data for the guys. So we are very, very trustful for them. They trust us. When you said that you are using an AI technology, sometimes the customers, maybe the large customer, large enterprise, think about, what you are doing with AI. I want to know more about what you are doing. And it's impacting my privacy. It's impacting my security things and so on. And it sometimes took us some, what can I say, seminars and sessions to educate them about the AI and how it will give them more added value, maybe for free or even for a very, very few money. So sometimes because we are dealing with very critical data, we know a lot of things about the customers. If you talk them that we are doing some AI or data analytics on your in your private data, they sometimes think about, you are doing something that I don't like to be done. So this is one of the challenges that all the telco worldwide have. I will give one example, a very, very quick example, because I know the time. For example, right now, for the COVID-19, all the world was talking about how they can control the spread. We at the telco, we have a very, very good use case to understand the mobility of the human and how we can control the dense areas, and we can allocate for the CDC where the potential epicenter for the disease and infection. However, if you use the crowdsourcing, which is, for example, the big tech companies like Google and Amazon and so on, the people don't like it because they are allocating their GPS location and they are maybe something like tracking them and so on. So how the people maybe trust the telco when they use it because they have a government that they are FCC, for example, in the US, Ofcom in the UK. This governmental authority have an eye over the telco and they are controlling everything. But for the tech companies and the AI and this kind of new technologies, it's always connected with the customer in their mind that it is something maybe harm their privacy. So we have to educate them. This is a challenge. We have to let them know they have to work with the AI sometimes with their hand to understand how much the AI will help them, not harm him, but not harm them in the other side. So it sounded like as a dilemma, but we are trying to do it. Sorry for that. Sorry for taking long.
No, that was awesome. Yeah, trust in AI is a big one, a big topic for another panel. And yeah, it's interesting to think, right? Telcos have more trust than tech companies. I definitely vibe that. I definitely trust. You know, I'm an AT&T guy, but neither here nor there. And yeah, I do think of them in like a more implicitly trusting relationship than like Facebook, for example. Yeah, that's interesting. All right, Patrika, hit us with the next slide, please. All right, so this came up briefly before, but 5G, big topic in the industry. I'm personally not holding my breath as far as getting all these towers out there, but I'll be curious to your guys' thoughts. But what do 5G and AI? What do they mean to each other? How does 5G impact AI? How does AI impact 5G? What's going to happen?
Let me take that one first. You know, with T-Mobile's stance on 5G and where we're taking 5G, I don't think that that's any secret. I think that we have 5G nationwide and introducing technologies that will be able to run on that. Again, with the connected devices, they're going to go well beyond telephones, right? In fact, there's even some futuristic discussions around people won't have a handheld device sometime in the future. Connectivity will occur multitudes of different ways, and in order to be able to stream that information across the various bandwidth, AI is going to have to be a major component of that. And so I see that that with 5G comes AI and the ability to really expand upon that and grow that technology into ways that maybe we've not even thought of yet. I just think it's the pathway to the future of AI.
Nice, it's a good quote. What other thoughts we got? Nancy, hand up.
Yeah. About 5G and everything, I have been given many 5G talks in the past because Verizon actually was very big on 5G. I think T-Mobile as well, all of you guys. So first of all, let's think about when we talk about 5G. 5G has 8 currencies. What I mean is like bandwidth and latency or different kind of like a number of devices and significantly more. We can connect with 5G, the 8 different things in it. And one of thing, what I believe is so related to AI is the operational efficiency part. What I mean by operational efficiency is that there's specific, like the use cases or imagination will help all our audiences to understand is that because 5G, you can see this has a super bigger pipe and sending data. In the past, let's say if you are a restaurant, let's say after COVID, you want to reopen your restaurant, and it will be very difficult for you to quickly set up your infrastructures and all the like new AI or new technology in your restaurant. But if you have 5G plus edge computing, what does this look like is you probably can get light up the restaurant and deploy all the new AI technology within like 15 minutes. So the efficiency of running operations start to improve significantly was because the combination of having like huge pipes in between where you are and where the data is, and also bringing the intelligence to the AI part. And that's where we see the future will lead to. Another example when we talk about AI and 5G, how they're related, is the Tesla example, which I was a big fan of the company itself, but I do think where Tesla putting AI in their car can be, the model can be reused in any other industries. For example, as we all know that when Tesla, Elon Musk always do like upgrade of the Tesla cars. And I remember like 2 years ago, a year ago, when they did the competition of Tesla car compared with all other like expensive car like racing car, and Tesla actually fell. They wasn't faster than others. And Elon Musk was like, okay, let's do software upgrade. And all of a sudden, all the Tesla cars just have a better algorithm to run the engine. Then did competition again, and they were faster. Why they're able to quickly just deploy and run new algorithm in the cars? That was the future of other industry can do as well. If you have 5G and edge computing to bring in this new software upgrade or new algorithm, all the AI quickly send over to your devices or send over to the hospital, whatever, where the data was collected, then you can be the Tesla of your new industry as well. That's where I believe those two are tightly connected together.
Nice. Yeah, that's a great example. I love that.
So I'll say for myself, I think that they're fairly symbiotic and almost codependent upon each other. So when, at least for myself, or at least for us at Neuton, when you begin to think about 5G, you of course initially begin to think about a tremendous amount of data, and it kind of underlines what Mostafa was mentioning earlier about that trust. But when you relay trust to 5G, at least for us, we relay it to cybersecurity. And what's the level of intelligence that you can have in cybersecurity, since now more of your consumers are going to be pushing more and more data out into the network. So I think cybersecurity, AI-driven cybersecurity will continue to be a part of that growth as more and more customers and our consumers begin to depend upon the associated network. And then in addition to that, it's not going to just be we have a huge pipe and we're going to throw massive amount of data through this pipe irresponsibly. There's going to need to be some intelligence around how that bandwidth is managed. There's going to need to be some intelligence and self-learning as to how the traffic is routed, and that'll be driven 100% by AI. But I think also another area is, I think it was Nancy that mentioned that there's this history of machine learning requiring tremendous amounts of data. But I think that AI, especially as algorithms continue to improve, and that's one of the things that we focus on, is being able to quickly learn and make decisions with small amounts of data. And when you begin to think about edge devices, you begin to think about 5G, IoT, et cetera, is even though you have this tremendous amount of data, you're going to want your models or your algorithms to be able to learn and make decisions with actually smaller amounts of data, even though it has a amount of information that is available to it. So I think that in order for 5G, which it will accelerate and be adopted in the market, is going to drive these other aspects that we see, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's self-learning, or self-adjusting networks. I think they're just going to come along side by side, and I think they're just codependent on each other.
Awesome. Awesome. I love that. Okay, so let's go. We are getting down to the end here. So let's go to our last question, please, Patricia. All right. So I want everyone to take a crack at this. I know the conversation has gone quickly, which means we've done a good job. And so, you know, people are watching and they're working at a telecom company and they're at AI4, they're learning about AI within telecom and across other industries. But what should they have in mind over the next 5 years? AI, machine learning, what are the key, you know, 1 or 2 things you think a person within the industry should focus on when it comes to AI and ML? Connie, start us off.
All right, I'll do that. So, as I've mentioned a couple of times, and I thought a lot about this particular question, one of the things that I've mentioned again before was connected devices. Those are growing exponentially. And when you apply AI to those connected devices, to the data analytics that can sit behind this, it's going to be very valuable. The more information we know about the customer or the end user of whatever product is in front of the AI, the better off you're going to be. We heard a little bit in this conversation around dumb pipes, garbage in, garbage out kind of analysis. The data scientists that will sit behind this around the NLP that will get you closer to the customer and the end game once you begin to refine it. So if I'm going to focus on anything within the next year, it's going to be that predictive modeling. Just take the information, use what we know about the customer, use what we know about what's going on in the particular space that we are supporting, and use that to help drive incremental business and drive value to the company.
Love it. Grow business by predicting what the customer wants. That is a good one. All right, we have a couple minutes left. I want to run through this and make sure everyone gets a chance. Mostafa, hit me. Next 5 years.
Oh, so back again into we cover both the question, this question and the past question. 5G and maybe the 6G will be always walking around the machines and connecting the machines. And right now we have a 6 billion human on Earth, but the real population for the communication maybe will be more than that, because right now at the telco I'm not connecting only Michael, I'm connecting Michael and his car and his refrigerator and his TV and so on. So this kind of new extra exist population with machines considered to be another data segment that it is already generating. To deal with this kind of high dense population of communication to machine than human at the cell, it will be very hard to take this decision at the same as we're taking right now. And decision making should be maybe over 90% by 5 years from now to be taken over using AI and machine learning model for decision making, as well as for the service management and market segmentation and so on. So I think the AI will be invading all the departments in the telco for 5 years from now. It's already right now, we have a lot of things to do, but with the separate departments. But after 5 years from now, I think the AI will be something that exists and embedded in the DNA in each and every department in the telco.
All right, thank you. So AI next 5 years, full attack on every part of telcos, but with a focus for you on like IoT, machine-to-machine communication. I'm with it. Blair, hit me.
Okay, so I kind of look at it slightly the opposite. I see telecom as like is kind of like the center that everything is orbiting around, and I think that telecom is going to drive the adoption of AI significantly. We've already seen the very disruptive and I think seismic change, whether it is working remotely. I think the time of working in the office is all but over. I don't think we will ever be the same again. The same thing from an educational perspective. And as a result, since telecom touches everyone and we're going to need more faster transactions, we're going to need more quality engagement, I think telecom will drive the adoption to the business, to the end users, whether they are ready to accept it or not. So I think everything has changed and will continue to change.
Love it. Telecom is the main driver of AI. And last but not least, Dr. Nancy Lee, the future, the next 5 years.
If I can predict the next 5 years, I can see that there will be friends and the enemy relationship between the cloud partners and telco. It will be more and more severe. We will see who will be the next big player in the future. For example, Microsoft already bought another telco company. They want to pre-integrate, want to go downstream to control where the data coming from. And from Verizon and the multiple companies is going upstream. What should we do to go towards their AI side, bring their compute, bring intelligence to our end users? In this friends-me relationship, I predict that sometime in the 5 years, we're going to create two things. first is more entrepreneurial opportunities in this new era of merging two things together. And the second, there will be a leader who will transform the business opportunities in this new space, which also means that there might be losers who didn't catch up in this new friends-me relationship. So 5 years later, we should do this talk again, see what does it look like.
All right. That was awesome. We will see you all in 5 years. And with that, thank you, everybody. That was awesome. Hi, Patricia.
Hi. Thank you all so much. What an awesome panel filled with great insight. We appreciate all of you, and a big virtual round of applause from the audience. So if you're looking for your next session, feel free to check out the program page, and we will see you around. Definitely check out the networking sessions too. Thank you again to our panelists, and enjoy the rest of the event.
Thank you, guys.